Hello, good evening, and what is up, everybody? It is Dark Khan of the Dark Conservatarian Political Commentary YouTube channel here on Strikeforce News. And before I get on to the actual subjects of today's live stream, I just want to give a little announcement that I will not be doing any more Strikeforce news streams for at least the next 3 weeks, if not a little bit longer than that, because next week and then the 2 weeks after that, I'm going to be busy with a business trip. So I will not be available for even the weekly news streams, let alone for content creation in general. I'm going to have a little status of the channel update video coming out possibly Labor Day to give some further details about what is going on. But for right now, that's all that you need to know. So, and hello, JC Armitage in the live chat. So today's subject is one that I'm actually kind of late to. Better late than never, though, I guess, right? But today I'm going to be talking about a subject that is gone on like a little over a month ago. Actually, well over a month ago. This is March 23rd. It went down primarily in March, and that is talking about the whole Zack Snyder situation, of where that Zack Snyder supposedly called out Geeks and Gamers and whatnot for being hateful. And it's just, yeah, there's some further context behind that story than what was actually being presented on the surface. The full details was not being exposed or shown by either side of this bit of drama. Either Geeks and Gamers or the anti-Geeks and Gamers sides. Neither one, really. And so, there's also a little bit of a more important subject to this whole episode of drama as to why that I want to talk about this. And that is the supposed logic that Kavernacle brings up at one point in his response video or video coverage, whatever, of the Geeks and Gamers versus Zack Snyder drama. And that he says, or at least implies anyway, supposedly, that if you hate the calling out of racism, or hatred rather, because that's the actual word that Zack Snyder used, that if you hate hatred of being called out, then that must mean that you are hateful yourself. When really, when I gone listening back on that, that's not the implication that I was getting really myself. I was getting the implication that Zack Snyder was implying them guys to be hateful, thus they did not like being called hateful, and that is why they got upset in general. But with further context, no, Zack Snyder did not mean to imply it. He was just being a little bit sloppy with his wording, just to give a little bit of an introduction to this. But anyway, so to get on with it, this one YouTube channel, in my research and just a curiosity of looking at this subject, I ran across this one YouTube channel called Killer TV, K-I-L-R TV. And this is like one of a video that goes by the name of Shep Rambles. That is the series that he runs right here. And it's a very good video, very unbiased, and he has some credibility. And this is he like showing both sides of the story. And it's just a little bit of a video that quite informed me. Regardless of what his opinions are on Geeks and Gamers or either side, he just like goes showing more the relevant facts of the story in a rather unbiased manner, regardless of what his personal feelings, or not necessarily personal feelings, but feelings in general and opinions and whatnot about either side of this story. So I have his video linked down in the description box below if you all want to go check it out yourself. I gave this video a like myself, and I would give this guy a subscription myself, actually, except he does mostly a whole bunch of video gaming content, and I'm already subscribed to well enough YouTube gamers. So no offense to this guy. If only he did like more videos like this, which is in a format that quite intrigues me and piques my interest. And hello, Blind Girl, Red Feather, and Douglas McIntosh there in the live chat. Oh god, have you seen my balls? Says asks Blind Girl. What, are you coming out of the closet as a transgender, Blind Girl? But anyway, get on with this subject. Let's get informed by Killer TV and be entertained by some of his animations that are kind of low budget, but all the same.
And now I present to you the one and only Zack Snyder.
Hi everyone! Hey, just want to say, I don't want to associate with you. And, you're toxic.
Go. Sorry, loudmouth. I did not hear the notification blip on my Google Chrome browser to hear that you had joined.
Yeah, in terms of Zack Snyder's statement there, I watched that statement on the stream. I can kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. He didn't directly say that Geeks and Gamers was a hate group. He pretty much just said, I'm not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers, which is kind of just a statement of fact. But,
right.
I could say the same thing. I have nothing against Geeks and Gamers, but I will say the same thing. I'm not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers because I'm not. You know?
Right.
And then he added the next part about, but I'm guessing that statement, like denouncing hate afterwards, is kind of like something came across like a statement like the studio made him read to say, hey, if you're going on the stream, you better read this shit or something. Like it was like a disclaimer.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's a possibility that he wasn't actually meaning this. He was just being told to do this by some of his executives and whatnot. My thought is about the whole statement of we denounce hate or whatever. My problem is that he said that in the same breath of practically in the same breath of saying I don't associate with Geeks and Gamers. So it almost came off like an implication, at first anyways, that he was implying Geeks and Gamers and his little community to be hateful. But as shown by a later clip that is showed by Killer TV here, there's more of an implication that he did not mean to actually imply that, but
the thing is, if he really believed that Geeks and Gamers was a hate group or he had such strong feelings against them, why would he go on a charity stream that he knew they ran? You know?
Fair question.
So just from that alone, I kind of give him a bit of the benefit of the doubt, though I can see why. Like it wasn't it was distasteful that he did put that statement like immediately after the statement about Geeks and Gamers, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, although there's not just people on the right who are like jumping to Geeks and Gamers defense who are getting the implication. There's also leftists like the Kavernacle, which is the next video that we're going to be reviewing, that kind of gives off the or believes that was kind of the implication that Zack Snyder was giving off, that he was calling out Geeks and Gamers and whatnot. But as we'll see by this video, I just sped it along. By the way, audience, I skipped the animation there. But anyway. Both sides are toxic, he says.
Welcome to Shep Rambles, where I am Shep and you know the rest. So, there's a lot of drama going on in regards to Zack Snyder, the Justice League cut, and the Geeks and Gamers channel. And it's no thanks to this article. This is what The Wrap says. Zack Snyder's Justice League has finally seen the light of day on HBO Max. But that's not the only way Zack Snyder made waves Wednesday night. On a charity stream celebrating the launch of the Snyder Cut, the director slammed the alt-right YouTube channel.
Slammed the... Wait. Okay, I thought at first that he was reading verbatim the article right here. Now, grant to you all, I was just listening to both of these videos the last few times that I viewed them. I wasn't really watching them. I might have glimpsed them like every now and then. But look at the text right there. It says, the director slammed the right-wing, not alt-right YouTube channel, Geeks and Gamers. I don't know if Shep thinks that that's the attitude that this article writer was taking, thinking that they were alt-right, or if Shep Rambles himself thinks that they are alt-right. I mean,
I'm wondering that. And is Geeks and Gamers even all that right-wing?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
really.
mean, he seems to have some kind of sympathies towards Trump from what I get from him, and he seems to believe
definitely center right, but it's not really that right wing, you know.
Right. I mean, he hasn't expressed a whole lot of economic beliefs, as far as I know. He just seems to follow along the right wing personalities more than left wing personalities.
No,
And he's kind of.
He just seems to hate woke politics in movies, and I don't know if you have to
Right.
be all that right wing to have that view. Just the same way, like some trashy like right wing movies, like God's Not Dead, or like some of these preachy Christian movies. They're not fun to watch because no one really likes to be preached to in such a simplistic way while watching a movie. You know, a political
Yeah.
subtext, if it's well written, can be great. I'm not saying that movies and politics should always be separate. Of course not. Some of the best movies have definite political subtext, but when it's just like blatant and really childish political pot shots, it just makes it really takes you out of the movie. Like if, let's say, in Onward, Disney had put MAGA hats on the Centaurs or something, it kind of would take you out of the movie, which is why anyone who would suggest that would be a good idea is a fucking idiot.
Oh, oh man. Right when I'm gonna have to take this and respond to it very quickly, y'all. 1 second. That sucked. I'm gonna have to make it more clear to some of my in real life relatives and friends and whatnot that I do live streams every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. and they usually don't end till 9 or even after 9. But
Right.
yeah, sorry about that, folks. And just to clarify, I don't have that particularly strong of an opinion for or against Geeks and Gamers. Although I will say that I was kind of disappointed in the one time that I saw him like throw a bone, some bit of panderings to QAnon in regards of the Tom Hanks pedophilia allegations that were thrown out, even though those weren't backed and whatnot. And also, I just want to say, before I had got that phone call, for all of you who actually got what Loudmouth was referencing when he said MAGA hats in the movie Onward, all of y'all who get that reference, you are awesome. Just putting that out there.
Yes.
But Geeks and Gamers, I don't have really that strong of opinion either way. I'm mostly going over this to kind of get the record straight. Also to prop up this guy, Shep Rambles, for his credibility and being unbiased in the subject, although I don't like the fact that he inserted alt-right instead of right-wing in the text right there that he was reading. But nonetheless, and also because of the subject matter that we're going to get into when we respond to Kavernacle.
Geeks and Gamers, which have been a vocal part of the hashtag Release the Snyder Cut crowd. It was a bit of a surprising thing for Snyder to say because the stream he was on was hosted by Uchi Nuwanen, a Geeks and Gamers contributor. Let's listen to what Zack had to say.
Just a quick thing before we get started. I know that on our donation page, we still have the Geeks and Gamers logo. I just want to say that I really, we talked about this, and we're really not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers as far as I'm concerned. And I really just want to make that clear. And I also want to just say, in light of recent events, I think we really, if Justice League teaches us anything, it's about coming together, and there's no room for hate. And I just think that it's important. It's an important message. And of course, as the father of Asian children, it really hits close to home for me. And I just really want to put that out there that we all, there's no room for hate. And that's just what it's about.
On one,
I kind of understand why he was kind of shaken by that shooting, because that shooting was really, really, really fucked up.
Right.
And that happened I think the same day, earlier that day as that stream was taking place.
Yeah. I mean, this was back in March, and I think both of those shootings, both Boulder and Atlanta, I think it was Atlanta, they were both in the same month as this live stream. And hello, Myth Cuttlefish in the chat, by the way. But that statement that we just heard from Zack Snyder there, just to clarify, you did not really think that was when you at first heard that statement by Zack Snyder, you did not think that was an implication of, oh, Geeks and Gamers, I think that you're hateful and I don't associate with you?
I mean, he definitely was disassociating himself with Geeks and Gamers, but I'm saying that was undeniable. He probably, but I don't know. It's vague enough that you can interpret it multiple ways. All I'm saying, I don't really know exactly what he meant. I can't get in the man's head. You know, is all I'm saying.
Fair enough.
But like at that shooting though, there was no real evidence that the shooter was like racially motivated. He mostly targeted where he targeted because they were sex workers. Them being Asian didn't really seem to matter to him.
Right, and because the guy was, I was about to use the word incel, but that's probably being fairly uncharitable. But
well, it might be accurate, but still, I generally don't like using that word as a slur, just because I hate when like feminists do it too much. You know?
right, I mean the guy was sex depraved. That was one of the reasonings, just in general. And by the way, I just want to put it out there, y'all, that I'm a virgin myself, so yeah, whether or not you think that I'm technically an incel or not, just it's whatever. Just know that I'm not using incel in a derogatory term towards people who are incels in general.
I mean, you would kind of fit the literal definition, but that's why I'm saying I don't like it when they will use that term in such a toxic way, you know?
Right. Anyway.
Side, you have people cheering Zack and hating on the Geeks and Gamers community, like this one.
Oh, hey, he presented Kavernacle, who that we're going to be responding to in the next video. But anyway. Oh, okay. Zack Snyder has become somewhat of an anti-SJW icon. These reactionaries have led the charge on the Snyder Cut, a recut longer version of 2017's Justice League. They have seen Snyder as a man who has stood up to both Warner Brothers and film critics to release his own vision. They recently had Snyder on a live stream and it did not go well, and the meltdown has been enjoyable to say the least. All right.
Has Zack Snyder ever really been an anti-SJW icon? I mean, yeah, his movies never have had any SJW political subtext to them, but they've never really been all that right-wing either. I guess the closest one that could be would be 300, but that's mostly because Snyder was staying true to Frank Miller's vision from the book.
Right. Sorry.
And Watchmen definitely, if you ever know anything about Alan Moore, he definitely was no right-winger. He deeply despises capitalism and what have you, and it was generally also very faithful to Alan Moore's book. So I don't really understand him being an anti-SJW icon. I mean, most people just kind of think he's a good filmmaker, because I do as well. He's not a perfect filmmaker. He's definitely made some pretty big mistakes in his 3 DC movies, some pretty large ones, which I've ranted about in the past, but he still definitely has some really good visual design in his movies. Like any shot of his movies looks like the panel of a graphic novel.
Right.
The visual,
very stylized.
He really is fantastic at staging the design of his movies.
Yep. So conundrum in the live chat. So at the Dark Conservatarian, your phone company is Virgin Mobile, and you fly on Virgin Airlines. Sure, conundrum. Why not? But anyway, well, and by the way, y'all, like I said earlier, I did not actually watch the screen as I was listening to this video, so the text that is being presented on screen is going to be new to me. So anyway.
And this one.
Xander Hall, Geeks and Gamers, gets called out for racism by Zack Snyder, and it's glorious. Yeah, right. But anyway.
This one.
Sean O'Rourke,
And
John De La
Tweety.
Rose.
That guy's not. I watched a couple of that guy's videos. I forgot his name.
The
but
De La
guy,
Rose?
that thumbnail, and that guy is just so obnoxious. I don't know how anyone could listen to that guy.
De La Rose or Sean O'Rourke?
Oh, which one? Let me go back a little bit here.
Okay. No,
that one right there.
Xander Hall?
Xander Hall. Yeah, that's the one. I think I watched one of his videos and I could not stand this guy. He was like really smug and obnoxious.
That seems to be a consistent theme with, I mean, at least half of BreadTubers. I mean, ContraPoints doesn't come across as particularly smug, even though she's like one of the staple heads of BreadTube.
Yeah.
And Sean Head is kind of one of them as well, and doesn't come off as particularly smug either. No. But still, with a lot of online leftists, they seem to be overly smug. Anyway.
Yeah, he was one of the. Well, he's not the worst. There's that guy in the Surfs. He's actually quite a bit worse now that I think about it.
I think Kyle Kalinske is worse than Lance of the Surfs, personally.
I don't know. I only ever watched one video of Lance of the Surfs, and it was one of the worst YouTube videos I've ever seen. Is he responded to this Sam Harris video, and literally Sam Harris made all kinds of really great and well-reasoned points, and all Lance did, he had this little graph of the political spectrum, the political compass graph, and a little icon of Sam Harris's head, and he just kept moving it around back and forth throughout the video. That's all the guy did. He didn't even attempt to refute any arguments or anything. It was just an insufferable video.
Oh boy. Myth Cuttlefish saying something about ContraPoints. Contra is poisonous. He thinks re-education camps are a good thing.
I think I heard that. Well, was it re-education camps? He kind of did, yeah. I don't know if it was camps or just re-education courts. She seemed to endorse like a mob judging people.
Okay, fair enough. And I do not know the full beliefs of ContraPoints. I'm mostly speaking as a personality. ContraPoints seems to be one of the less insufferable ones. From what I've seen so far, anyways.
Well, we're going by BreadTube standards, so the bar is really low.
Right. The Conundrum also says, Thought Slime said that Xander Hall has a sex cult. Alright, so infighting in the BreadTube community.
Really?
This is at least according to Conundrum. Hey, Conundrum, you want to, send a link to this video so that I can share it to Loudmouth and both of us can watch it sometime later?
That's kind of interesting.
Right. Anyway.
Let them fight.
This one. And tweeting garbage like this.
The voice of reason. A little bit self-aggrandizing to be calling yourself the voice of reason. Anyway, Zack Snyder denounced the hateful, toxic fandom group Geeks and Gamers while two of their members was on his Zoom charity event. Those same two guys are on a Geeks and Gamers live stream right now talking about how disappointed they are in Snyder. Wow.
Okay.
And then on the other side, you have people hating on Zack for what he said. Like this one.
Mecha Random 42. Justice League director Zack Snyder throws Geeks and Gamers charity in their face. By the way, Conundrum says that thing of where that Thought Slime calls out Xander Hall is actually in a Reddit thread. Go ahead and link that to us instead then, Conundrum, if that's the medium that he decided to say that. Be interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll even take the time to read it, but whatever.
Right. Fair enough. I don't know if I'll read through the whole thing myself, but anyway.
And
so that was of course Eric July. We're gonna get into that here in a bit.
Even this one.
Could not make out that one.
And tweeting garbage like this.
So this is from the Geeks and Gamers side. SH on at Geeks Gamers.com and you D-Day Cobra thanked him for it. Eric July was right. D-Day Cobra, you let your community down. Your team did great work, but you didn't stand up for your community. The fundraiser was amazing and outstanding. Hashtag cancel Zack Snyder. Oh, come on. I mean, Zack Snyder did not go particularly that strong against Geeks and Gamers. Even if we were to go off of face value and say that he did ultimately imply that Geeks and Gamers are hateful, I don't think that Zack Snyder should be completely canceled just for that rather milquetoast thing that he did. It's not like that he ended up trying to go on a crusade against Geeks and Gamers or anything like that. He just sort of gave a throwaway line. That is, right. Again,
compared to a lot of the shit that Hollywood celebrities do, that seems pretty mild. you saw the recently of what John Cena did today, right?
Oh, yeah, I've been hearing about that. That's what the next article is going to be about. Is John Cena.
Fuck that guy, man.
Wow, I thought John Cena might have been one of the better ones in Hollywood, but apparently his personality does not earn him that masculine chiseled jawline.
Oh my God, that was absolutely vile what he did. Beyond despicable.
Right.
Yeah, well, compared to that, and even the worst interpretation of what Zack Snyder did here, it's nothing.
Yup, I can agree. I will definitely agree there, Loudmouth.
Yeah.
Many channels are reporting on this stuff, but here's something they aren't showing you.
There's no room for hate, and that's just what it's about.
Absolutely, absolutely, and definitely something I can relate to myself. I'm the father of two biracial children who are part Asian as well, so definitely can understand that. Definitely appreciate you saying that, Zach. Right now we are at $58,859.
That's good time.
That put quite the smile on your face.
Yes.
I was kind of so excited watching the film. I ate my snacks in the first hour. And I was like, so engrossed. I was like,
I didn't get up to pee once. I didn't get up to pee not once.
Pens are an option if you want to go like that.
But even though they were all excited, you have people saying this.
So Zack Snyder should be a little more grateful than to throw it back in the face of the very people throwing it a little temper tantrum like a pissy little diva. I was told you guys are a hate group, so take the Geeks and Gamers logo off of there and
That's a bit hyperbolic. Even like the worst interpretation of what Zack Snyder said, as Loudmouth put it, it wasn't particularly whiny, so a bit of a hyperbolic interpretation.
Little bit, but I get why people would be upset about that. You know, if they set up the stream and everything, and to have him kind of throw them under the bus the way they interpreted it, I get why that would produce some hurt feelings. I do.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, moving on.
Even if it is a bit hyperbolic.
you your money. You, Zack Snyder. You.
Well, no, he actually did say thank you.
But any final thoughts, Zach, man? We really
Well, I just want to say
appreciate you coming
thank you guys so much. This has been amazing. Look at already what's happened with these items. Unbelievable. The money raised. Let's keep fighting the good fight. And thank you so much. You guys are amazing. This community, unbelievable. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
For those not...
So that's where I got the implication that maybe Zack Snyder wasn't trying to imply that Geeks and Gamers was hateful. He said you guys are all amazing and whatnot. That would be pretty much including the two people from the Geeks and Gamers community that were on that live stream at the moment that Zack Snyder was on call with them. So
yeah, I can definitely see that. That's why I can give him the benefit of the doubt in the matter. You know,
you can tell he's uncomfortable talking to randos on the net, says Myth Callfish. he definitely is. I mean, in the modern era, you have just random YouTubers and social media personalities becoming about on the same levels as radio show hosts and mainstream news reporters, as far as platform and clout goes, might I say.
Well, it actually is very smart of Zack Snyder. He probably was very careful with his words because he knows how there's a bunch of sharks who are just itching to take him out of context when he's in a prominent place, being a director of several big budget movies. So you can tell he's trying to be like as careful as possible during the whole thing.
You know what? You're not wrong. And if I might say, there seems to be a higher rate of people that take people out of context on the internet than even the mainstream news media. Maybe not.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when you get deeper into the smaller personalities that are infested across the social media. But you're saying, Loudmouth?
Well, one of the things about Snyder is he generally has, throughout most of the years, kept his politics to himself. Right. And that's a really smart move. It's probably Well, he has as good a personal reputation as he does, whereas the guy who replaced him, Joss Whedon, due to being a jackass who was abusive to people and being a rampant male feminist, quote unquote, he ended up torpedoing his whole career.
And might I just say, little random side, is it me? Am I the only one who thinks that Zack Snyder looks like a handsomer version of Dr. House? With the slight scruff that he has going on there,
And I think
I don't know. I guess I can kind of see it, but
the bottom of my heart.
For those not familiar with the Geeks and Gamers, they're the sort of YouTube channel that posts videos with Fox News-esque, toxic right-wing nerd titles like Lucasfilm keeps disrespecting Gina Carano and Star Wars fans.
I mean, they had been for the longest time.
Because they had been, yeah.
I mean, even looking outside of Geeks and Gamers, it's not just Geeks and Gamers who was pointing it out. You had Rian Johnson, like one of the heads of Lucasfilm for the longest time, like when The Last Jedi was still prominent in its, when it was still like on the main headlines across the internet as far as reporting of, entertainment news goes. You had Rian Johnson pretty much calling out all the fans for daring to dislike The Last Jedi, that they're all just a bunch of sexists and racists and so forth. And of course, they were disrespecting Gina Carano, taking her statements completely out of perspective and just firing her over them. So,
I don't know how they could have been any less disrespectful. It was just amazing. They were completely disrespectful.
Yeah. So I don't really care so much for Shep's opinions about Geeks and Gamers. I mean, I got my own opinions, and he did not really change my mind as far as those personalities go, except for the fact that he provided the extra context for what actually gone down in the live stream. That's what I mostly give him credit for, and that's the biggest reason why I gave him a like. And I guess I'll tune out of that video because he's just summing up his final thoughts and whatnot. Like, it doesn't really matter that much. But in my opinion, after listening to that full video and the extra context that Shep provides in the video about what went down in the live stream, I gotta say, it seems rather dishonest of the Geeks and Gamers community. I mean, everybody who had seen that live stream in full and decided to interpret still Zack Snyder's opening thoughts about everybody or about everything on the live stream as, oh, he is hating on Geeks and Gamers, saying that they're hateful and blah blah blah. You're being dishonest because you're not taking all of his statements.
I don't know if they're being dishonest. It's their interpretation.
I mean,
I'm not going to call it dishonesty. I will not go that far. But I don't know. But I also don't know if their interpretation is correct. My stance is just of complete neutrality on this matter.
Well, okay. I just find it still kind of dishonest that they don't take into context the later statement that Zack Snyder said of you are all wonderful when he was about to close out there. So
I don't know,
as a bit of a piecemeal or peacemaker, whatever.
I don't know.
All right, but anyway, to sort of get onto the subject, on to respond to Kavernacle. The biggest reason why we are going over this video, and like I said earlier, why that we are going over the this subject in general, is because there seems to be this theme on the left in general that if you don't like being called a racist or a bigot or hateful or anything like that, that must mean that you are obviously falling under that term. Now, that's not the exact words that Kavernacle got from Zack Snyder, but because he thought that Zack Snyder was saying just in general, oh, we don't like hate, let's not condone it or whatever, there's no room for that. And Geeks and Gamers, they react rather negatively to Zack Snyder. Kavernacle interprets that as, oh, that must mean that you don't like hate being called out. I mean, why would you dislike that? It must mean that you are hateful, as at least the implication that he gives off.
I think that's a silly argument. I think the problem Geeks and Gamers had was that he made the denunciation immediately after the statement, I'm not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers. If he had probably if he had just put a few more seconds between those two statements, probably would have satisfied people.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if he said something like, not that I'm necessarily calling anyone here hateful, but if he added that, though, he probably would have ended up pissing off leftists. But I don't know. I mean, you are right that he had to be very careful with his words, otherwise he could, like, piss off too many people.
Right. He's trying to stay apolitical, and I kind of respect that. I respect that he wants to be an apolitical personality. He wants to just be a filmmaker.
Right. So
Not,
anyway.
he doesn't exist to, like, preach his politics, whatever they may be.
Yeah. Whereas you got people like
his vision,
Jim Carrey or anyone else like that who will rather preach their politics rather proudly.
He's trying not to make the mistakes Joss Whedon made, and for that,
precisely,
he's being smart.
And I've obviously had time to process everything and try to understand everything, and really kind of get my thoughts in order. We did do a live stream last night while the charity stream was going on over on Uche Waneri's channel, where Zack Snyder hopped on the stream after we raised about $60,000 and basically went out of his way to disavow from Geeks and Gamers, and also
I can't stay long, and I'm kind of bored with this subject, so
it's fine, Loudmouth. Well, thanks for tuning on of one that you did.
Alright.
Anyway, I'm gonna continue on with this right now.
I guess we'll take off then. See you later.
Alright, see ya.
Simultaneously speak out against some of the hate that's been going on. A normal virtue signal from a Hollywood person.
I know I cover serious topics on this.
Oh, who could that be? I heard the tone. Wait, no, that's not the right tab I wanted to pull up. Hey, what's up, Aspie?
The ceiling. I'm joking. I'm doing really good.
Right.
How you doing, man?
Oh, that's a totally new one. I've never heard of that one. By the way, you are quiet as shit again. Put the microphone up against your mouth when talking, please.
All right, I'll put it right here.
But yeah, I'm good at just going over a kind of an old subject, but I still think it's relevant for the subject matter that is sort of showcased within Kavernacle's video in particular.
Uh-huh.
But
Kavernacle.
He's a socialist who Rational Outlaws made plenty of response videos to before. Like, he's like one of the codes that I tried to get on here a little bit earlier, but I don't know what happened. Like, he probably thought that I was still gonna end up changing the live stream to June 22nd instead of today. But I ended up having the time to be able to do this subject, and I was thinking to myself, screw it, why not just go ahead and do this? But anyway, by the way, hello Scorch in the live chat. Anyway, moving on though, we got a 19-minute video here.
Channel, and this kind of is one, but it's also pretty hilarious. You guys will be waiting for this one. It's about Zack Snyder directly calling out Geeks and Gamers for basically spreading hate online. And when I first saw this clip, I could not stop laughing, because I know Geeks and Gamers as a community have been, leading this charge on the Snyder Cut. And when I get into some of, their videos before they did this,
I got a question of what is the matter with the pushing for the release of the Snyder Cut? I just gotta wonder, like, what is his problem? What is Kavernacle's problem? And what would be the implication that I'm sort of getting on the surface here, anyways, is that people on the left, I'm not going to say the left in general or which kind of leftist, but people on the left seem to be having this problem with people calling out for the releasing of the Snyder Cut. Like, I just gotta wonder, like, what's the matter with that? I mean, people go looking at what happened behind the scenes in regards to the Snyder Cut, that Zack Snyder could not finish up his vision as far as the movie goes, and so they wanted to be able to see what the full version of that was going to be if the original director had fulfilled on his original project. And in comparison to the what we actually got, that being like the Joss Whedon Justice League in 2017, which was kind of disappointing in a few ways. It wasn't the worst movie of all time, but all the same, it could have been a lot better. And so that's what people were kind of saying that they were running when they said release the Snyder Cut. I don't get of why that these people have an issue with release the Snyder Cut.
Here's the thing. I'm looking at the review.
Hold your microphone closer to your mouth, please, Aspie.
I'm looking at the reviews for the movie, and IMDb is 8.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is 71%, and Metacritic is, oh dear, 54%. Talk about a bit of a gap between those.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about Metacritic, but Rotten Tomatoes, I definitely know that that's at least 10 percentage points higher than the 2017 Justice League.
I see. So it was an improvement.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes not very credible, especially with how they rated cuties and all that other bullshit. But
don't mention that cursed film.
Too late. But IMDb ends up rating videos or some movies that end up deserving a lower rating as compared to what Rotten Tomatoes rates them. Rates them like a little bit lower than what Rotten Tomatoes does. And the fact that they are like rating this higher than what Rotten Tomatoes is, you know, by this I mean the Snyder Cut of Justice League, that must mean that it really is an improvement if IMDb is rating it like 8.2, something like that.
Yeah, true.
This panel with Zack Snyder. But for him to then turn around and basically call them out on a live stream where a couple of the members of Geeks and Gamers are on it was just so funny to me. So we're going to get into all of this stuff, and what I think will be helpful in this video, I'm actually going to explain what Geeks and Gamers is, because I normally just say Geeks and Gamers and we think about Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, and I guess he's kind of known as Geeks and Gamers the same way that Jeremy from The Quartering, both called Jeremy, we just call him The Quartering, you know, we don't call him Jeremy for the most part. But yeah, this stuff is so hilarious. So we're going to get into their push for the Snyder Cut, we're going to get into what Zack Snyder said, then we're going to get into their reaction, and then finally we're going to get into Jeremy's reaction as the leader of Geeks and Gamers. And there is some serious things to highlight throughout this, but mainly this video is just funny because, again, I just found this so hilarious. Before we go any further, recently YouTube demonetized my entire channel, supposedly for bullying. What had actually happened is I'd been mass flagged by some community or some fans. Thankfully, after bigger creators like the Humanist Report, the Surfs, Carl Kolinsky, and Wowshi retweeted the tweet, YouTube went back on its policies, but it showed me how fragile this is as a source of income. So if you want to support my work continuing for the future, regardless of what YouTube do, please consider becoming a patron.
Yeah, I think I should always consider
Your mic is far away from your mouth again, Aspie.
You should. I think I should. Anybody who decides to try to do YouTube for income purposes should look to get a side gig or get like a net below them.
Right. I mean, I'm a pretty much a full-time worker myself. By the way, since we're on this subject as far as Patreon goes, and I also sped along this video too. Very quickly, I forgot to say this at the beginning of the live stream. This this show is presented to you by patrons like you, Cat Chat, Mikilla Stray Cat, and the Conundrum, who I don't know if Conundrum is still in the live chat, but yeah, those are my current patrons. If y'all are interested in supporting the live, supporting the YouTube channel, link for the Patreon is down in the description box below. But anyway, let's continue on.
To 30k, every 5k we get a new chocolate orange. You guys know you want to see the 6th lovely chocolate orange. And I promise if I ever hit 100k, I'm just going to be sitting on stream eating most of them. So you know you want to see that as well. So help this channel grow, like the video, and share it. So let's first get into how excited these guys were for the Snyder Cut. Now, Ryan Kinnell is another anti-SJW YouTuber. I made a...
What'd you say, Aspie?
I said mukbang. A chocolate mukbang.
Oh, brother. And by the way, hello, Aircraft Sparky in the live chat. Hold on, I probably am a bit hateful. I am kind of mean at times. Right? If YouTube is your primary income source, 2016 called, they want their economic model back. Right?
Exactly. We can't all be leafy anymore.
Precisely. Even Leafy can't be Leafy anymore.
They kicked him off of everything. I think he's only left on Instagram. That's it.
I think he might have tried to restart a secondary channel, but then that one got taken down.
Wi-Fi. It was Wi-Fi. He tried to create one called Wi-Fi, but they took it down almost instantly. I'm surprised he hasn't tried like BitChute or something.
I gotcha.
Couple videos on, not him directly, but he's featured in some of my broader topics. Now, I didn't realize until a couple months ago he's actually a part of Geeks and Gamers, and he was actually on the live stream with Zack Snyder. But he was really excited for this new Justice League cut. So here are a couple videos. Here's a little montage of Geeks and Gamers in the community being hyped for Zack Snyder's final cut of Justice League.
It is Jeremy, joined by Ryan, Kennel, and Lethal Lightning, two mega Zack Snyder fans, two people that I can't even imagine how good it feels to be them today because of the long-awaited, the long battle, the announcement of the Snyder Cut. Wow, there's a lot to talk about. I don't know much about this. I'm obviously not a big Snyder Cut fan in terms of...
Just gonna mostly let this play out and power through it because I do not know how relevant each bit of footage this is, but just for the full context and response to Kavernacle, we're gonna let it play out.
Hey, I have not seen this movie, so I'm going to head out now. I'm gonna go ride my bike. I do a bike ride every night.
Alright, see you later, Aspie. I don't think they go spoiling anything about the plot, just to FYI, but nonetheless, you do you, dude.
Alright, I was also sitting here working on another video, so I'm gonna head out now.
Hope to hear back on that video sometime. Can't wait.
It's a little update video. It's nothing real big, but
okay.
It's something. Alright, bye.
Later.
Big fan of Snyder's DCE, so I don't know a lot about it. I didn't watch the presentation, but let's just get initial reactions from you guys. Ryan, go.
All right, so this is something that's been going on since November of 2017. When someone said, hey, listen, guys, there's a cut out there that is nothing like this trash you just saw in theaters. It is one that is Zack Snyder's true vision. 21, the Snyder Cut. It's here.
I've seen this concerted effort from a lot of these far left people, the blue check mark brigade, and it just seems like the existence, the mere mention of the existence of the Snyder Cut really, really upsets them. I made a video talking about, man, I'm kind of jealous of you guys because, like, I wish I could feel that excitement. So I've been an advocate of the Snyder Cut. I will argue with Snyder fans all day long, but ultimately, this is huge. This is.
Did you see my interview last night, Darkon? Asks Eric Sparky in the live chat. No, I did not. Sorry about that, Sparky. I was busy doing other stuff, trying to get some video editing done and so forth. BitChute is garbage, he also says. Well, I do think that their search engine is kind of lackluster, not to mention their video promotion and their recommendation system and algorithm for videos on there is kind of shoddy as well, especially in comparison. Well, YouTube's recommendation algorithm isn't very good too. Like, they'll suppress some certain videos, but at least they'll present to you new videos, whereas BitChute seems to present to you videos by channels that you are already subscribed to. I don't know how to put it. It just seems that BitChute is rather boring in general with their recommendation algorithm in comparison to YouTube, even though YouTube suppresses the algorithm a bit unfairly with some videos on YouTube, on some channels on their site. BitChute seems kind of boring all the same in comparison. Anyway, before I get too boring.
Huge for fans, for people speaking out.
What's going on, Geeks?
At Tires Plus, you're in the driver's seat. Get up to $90 back by mail on a
On Geeks and Gamers, this is Ryan with Dark Outpost and geeksandgamers.com, and Zack Snyder loves his fans, which is one of the things that makes him so much different than the typical people in the Hollywood elites and the media that support them. And that is why so many people have tried to stop Zack Snyder from making his movie. But it is happening, it is here, and now we have the trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League. That Zack Snyder has a fandom that supports him and refuses to let this go and let this die. Because that's that's what Warner Brothers wanted. They made a huge mistake bringing Joss Whedon in to change all of these things.
So keep that in mind for later, because it only makes the whole thing way more funny. Also, like I said, these anti-SJWs like to construct narratives. So Gal Gadot...
It seems to be a bit of a projection right there. I mean, especially since Kavernacle is going on with the narrative that Zack Snyder was calling out Geeks and Gamers, even though Zack Snyder was not doing that really. As shown by the last video that we presented, he was actually saying, "You are all wonderful." That kind of clears up that he was not trying to imply that Geeks and Gamers are hateful or anything like that. So it just seems to be ironic that Kavernacle accuses them of constructing a narrative.
Is anti-SJW, and she's anti-feminist, essentially, because...
he's referring to Gal Gadot in his statement right here, by the way.
As they say she is, even though she said that, you know, everyone should be a feminist. They ignore that convenient part because they do that so they can pit her against Brie Larson and create this fictional world where somehow the stuff these people both say about women are at odds with each other when they're very similar. So
no context right there, no citation provided, not even a freaking screen cap of any articles or whatever, so I'm not so sure of how much that I actually believe or agree with Kavernacle's interpretation of that, so we're just moving on.
Zack Snyder has also been hailed as a sort of, you know, anti-SJW, anti-corporate guy, probably because they're pushing how much they want this Snyder Cut thing onto his politics, like he's standing up to the man. So not quite the level of simping for Gina Carano, but they clearly want the Justice League film to be made.
What's your problem with Gina Carano, huh, Kavernacle? You know, maybe I ought to like look back at Kavernacle's catalog and go watching whatever video he has to say about Gina Carano. I tried doing that with Progressive Voice not too long ago, but he had nothing to say about Gina Carano. Anyway.
And they clearly want all this stuff to come out. Now, before we go any further, let's make clear what Geeks and Gamers is. So Jeremy is the head of Geeks and Gamers. He essentially started this channel, but it has multiple people in it. So you saw in those videos, Ryan Kinnell hosted an episode of Geeks and Gamers. Geeks and Gamers also has a politics channel called D-Day Cobra, and this guy's politics are far right. Most of these people who are involved in Geeks and Gamers are Trump supporters. Most of the stuff they talk...
quote unquote far right. I mean, didn't this guy like call AOC a right-winger? So, as far as I'm concerned, his political spectrum is completely whacked. I mean, if he seriously considers Cortez, of all people, to be right-wing, quote-unquote, or to say that America does not have a left wing to it in its politics.
Talk about politically, if it wasn't obvious from that, you know, anti-feminism, anti-diversity stuff they put on their channel, then it's obvious from D-Day Cobra, Jeremy's own channel. So to show why Zack Snyder might have wanted to emphasize he's not involved with these people, here's a quick little montage of Jeremy's response to a black bisexual Batwoman being cast, and also when these guys led the charge against Christina Ariel, who was the host of the High Republic show on YouTube, I think it's called.
We are with a woke character getting even woker.
Alright, I don't care about
That's
this.
the
I'm gonna
answer.
skip it along.
Yeah. It's against white people. They have taken 40 years worth of fans and stories.
Oh god,
Just
freaking
one
ads.
Match left. Be real.
And transformed it into a social justice propaganda machine.
So you can see there, if Zack Snyder was made aware of any of this, probably not a good look to have his Snyder Cut associated with these people. And we're going to get back into...
What? Okay. Never mind. I was going to ask why not, but I'd skipped over it anyway, so...
to the problematic aspects of this, because there's someone mentioned in the credits of the Snyder Cut who is worse than Geeks and Gamers, so we're going to get into that when we conclude the video. But now, they were having a charity stream, these guys, to raise money for awareness, for mental health and things like that. So they did get Zack Snyder to come on because it was all centered around the Snyder Cut. So here we go. This is what Zack Snyder said when he came on.
He is the one, the only Zack Snyder.
All right, so I just want to point out here, by the way, notice here that Eric July is nowhere to be seen here. Kavernacle is later going to be playing a little bit of a clip of Eric July ranting about Zack Snyder, and so I just wanted to put things into context by pointing out that Eric July is not here. But anyway.
There he is. Hey guys, how you doing? How's everybody doing?
Good.
Just a quick thing before we get started. I know that on our donation page, we still have the Geeks and Gamers logo. I just want to say that I really we talked about this, and we're really not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers as far as I'm concerned, and I really just want to make that clear. And I also want to just say, in light of recent events, I think we really, if Justice League teaches us anything, it's about coming together, and there's no room for hate. And I just think that it's important. It's an important message. And of course, as the father of Asian children, it really hits close to home for me. And
so, of course, in the wake of Atlanta, he's mentioning, he has an adopted Asian daughter, and he doesn't stand for hate or divisiveness or anything like that. And notice that Ryan Kinnell just slowly fuming in the top right.
And Zack Snyder loves his fans, which is one of the things that makes him so much different than the typical people in the Hollywood elites.
We're really not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers as far as I'm concerned, and there's no room for hate.
And Zack Snyder loves his fans.
Now, again, that is just so hilarious when you think about the context of the video I've made, showing how these guys really wanted the Snyder Cut.
It wasn't even that over the top of a reaction or anything like that. It seems that Kavernacle is just overblowing as far as, well, okay, he does play some videos later of Ryan Kinnell's reactions, but he just gets, I don't know, a little bit overly giddy about just Ryan Kinnell just looking down. I don't know.
And somehow revered Zack Snyder. This was probably a corporate move, but I do respect him for doing this. His politics seem to be center-right, maybe American liberal, so I don't think he's the worst guy ever, although I don't really know his politics because his films are kind of weird with the politics of them. And he's also set to direct an Ayn Rand book into a film. I mean, how many people want to make Ayn Rand books into films if you don't kind of share those, more conservative capitalist politics? But he seems like an okay guy. He's been through a hard time, so I respect him for calling out Geeks and Gamers.
Except he wasn't trying to do that. I mean, I just gotta ask the question, did Kavernacle listen to the entire live stream? I mean, he went out of his way to listen to the live stream himself in order to get that clip, obviously, so I just go wondering, did he not listen to the entire live stream to get that one little bit of the clip, to get the one later part of the live stream that was played by Shep Rambles, to get the fuller context of Zack Snyder's statement that maybe, possibly, and most likely, actually, Zack Snyder was not trying to call it Geeks and Gamers. He was not trying to imply that they're hateful. I mean, Kavernacle, your opinion and observation and interpretation of this is just bullcrap, quite bluntly.
And I've called out Geeks and Gamers numerous times for essentially just pushing, hateful rhetoric and everything like that. And it's amazing.
Hateful, quote unquote. Like I said, I do not know the full reputation of Geeks and Gamers, and I don't think that Jeremy did the best, and when that he was not taking into account the whole "you guys are all wonderful" statement by Zack Snyder to sort of show the possibility, or the likelihood rather, that he was not trying to say that Geeks and Gamers are hateful or whatnot. Jeremy of Geeks and Gamers was not doing his due diligence. That's all that I'll say. But as far as hate goes, I mean, he's just a typical milquetoast anti-SJW who likes to point out how Hollywood is, at least supposedly anyways. Well, actually, I will say this, that Hollywood does seem to put, or at least that's where it comes off anyways, they put all these minority quotas above any prioritization of story, of good story and character arcs and whatnot. I mean, it just seems to be a milquetoast channel in that sort of fashion. Geeks and Gamers channel, I mean. So, but you're going to call that hateful, Kavernacle? Okay, I think you're full of shit, but whatever.
Amazing that YouTube gives all these people a pass while trying to, get me off the platform for calling it out. It's a weird bit of hypocrisy.
Oh, that's bullshit. I mean, Suit Yourself got pulled down. Steven Crowder has had plenty of close blows. I mean, you know, like what other leftists is YouTube trying to take down? As far as I'm concerned, not a whole lot really. S-Man, okay. I don't know if how much that I should like point this out, but S-Man, when he still had a whole lot of his content for the public to see, would get strikes over the most minuscule of things. Heck, I had got a strike for something that was a little bit of a classless, but all the same, a joke about racial stereotypes in one old video that I did. I mean, your idea that YouTube is just letting the right get off the hook as far as this stuff goes, you're just full of shit. You just got your head up your ass, Kavernacle. You're not like, you gotta like look outside of your echo chambers on occasion. I mean, I even knew, at least vaguely, that maybe YouTube was punishing secular talk even at times with their monetization or whatever else have you. I didn't realize that it was not completely one-sided, but you're just acting like that it is one-sided. Except the one side is that the left is getting hurt and the right is pretty much not. Hollyweird does put diversity over quality, says JC Demonetized. Don't understand what's so hateful about pointing that one out. Exactly. So I just think that Kavernacle is full of crap when he says that, based off of that logic.
On their part, of course, these guys are very popular, make YouTube a lot of money through ad revenue, so you know why they tolerate them. So obviously a major embarrassment.
Well, the Young Turks is a very big YouTube channel who would make them a lot of ad revenue as well. I mean, has Young Turks ever been attempted to be taken down or struck or whatever for their content? I highly doubt this.
Embarrassment for the people involved with this stuff. So a guy called the Voice of Reason at Your Only Hope, go follow this guy because he did good work on this stuff. He put together a Twitter thread where he filmed some of it on his phone, so I apologize for the quality not being excellent on this stuff, but it's important to just, you know, look at all these people react to everything.
Out there, I went out of my way when this entire thing started to tell Zach, you might want to understand what's about to happen by being connected to me. Multiple times I talked to Zach about this, and it got to the point where we fully agreed, yes, it needs to be on New Shay's channel. It got to the point where we knew we needed to take a step back with the Geeks and Gamers brand, and that's totally fine, because the individuals that are part of the brand are still...
These Air Force ads keep on popping up in my videos that I go listening to. Like, come on, get out of my face. I'm tired of listening to them. But anyway, like, I just gotta wonder, why does Kavernacle, why does he act like that it's just unnatural or funny that people be, like, you know, getting upset at the fact that they are, or at least they think that they are accused of something that they think that they're really not. Like, me personally, I will say again, I think that Geeks and Gamers knows a bit better. Jeremy of Geeks and Gamers and the rest of the Geeks and Gamers crew who witnessed pretty much the entire live stream that Zack Snyder was on and know all the context. I think that they know the full context of what he was saying, but even just looking on the surface, if I was to like go along with Kavernacle's interpretation for a bit, that Zack Snyder was saying, oh, you guys are all hateful, essentially. Like, are people really supposed to just roll over and take up the ass all the negative shit that gets thrown at them? I mean, what if somebody was to be calling you a whole bunch of names, Kavernacle? Are you just going to take a whole bunch of negative accusations lightly? If somebody, like, I don't know, called you some psychopath who wants to kill conservatives or whatever. Not that I am saying that, but that's just an arbitrary example of an accusation that could be lobbed at you. And you're not going to respond to that. You're not going to take some response to that. I mean, if it's just some rando with very little influence, you're going to brush that off. Not too surprising. But if it was somebody a whole lot bigger, of a whole lot more influence, that was saying that you are, I don't know, some moron, that you are just full of hate yourself, are you literally just going to brush it off, or are you going to respond to it like these guys are? by your own interpretation of their reaction anyways.
Their own individual platforms, which in return still helps Geeks and Gamers, which is all I ever want is the individuals to succeed.
Do that. Imagine having some sort of cause. Doesn't matter what it is. Let's remove ourselves from the situation. And you organize something with someone. And as you are presenting this case, doesn't matter. You're raising money. It's for a good cause. It's actually something that's actionable. And the first thing that the dude say, the person that you worked with on this says, yeah, I don't fuck with him, but thanks. Yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with us. You throw us under the bus, bro. Further in the stream, did he co-sign or did he speak positively, specifically of Geeks and Gamers, knowing damn well that you guys raised the money? Did he bother to make that statement, say thanks to the Geeks and Gamers team for helping us raise all this money? No. But what he did do was make sure that he wanted to separate that, and I think he's associating Geeks and Gamers team with this sort of hatred deal. But
I know what I'm doing. And
all right, so that I was especially wanting to give my commentary about Eric July. Like, I sort of like Eric July. I haven't officially subscribed to him or anything like that, but a lot of my subscribers and other people that I associate with, they like Eric July a whole lot. And of course, Kavernacle and the person who he's like showing to be taking these phone recordings of the Geeks and Gamers team's reaction and whatnot. They're just like getting off on Eric July's, they're knocking on Eric July, getting off on his reaction about Zack Snyder. Like, I think that if it's true anyways, that Zack Snyder was calling Geeks and Gamers hateful, that is a rather impassioned and rather on-base rant. I mean, to use it in a non-pejorative sort of manner, that Eric July has stated right there. And I'm just thinking to myself, preach, dude. I mean, why make it something that's so objectively positive? That being a live stream that is about raising awareness to suicide prevention, which I think was the main cause of the charity live stream, was for suicide prevention, to raise awareness to suicide and whatnot. And so Eric July's issue was, why would you take this issue that is the core issue that we are all getting around to, which is an objectively positive message to be raising awareness to suicide. You're going to take that and turn it into something negative by throwing your own peers under the bus who are like backing you up who are like side by side with you on this cause. It's just ridiculous. But to be talking truthfully, knowing the full context of what actually was said by Zack Snyder, that Zack Snyder was not actually trying to imply Geeks and Gamers to be hateful. I don't think Eric July actually knows better, to be quite honest. Like, I put the fault on Jeremy of Geeks and Gamers and the other people who were on that live stream going along with this narrative of, oh, Zack Snyder called us hateful and whatnot. Like, I put the onus more on them as to who is being dishonest in their interpretation of Zack Snyder's words, not taking into context everything that he said on the live stream. But Eric July, I don't think, or at least I think it's a high possibility that he did not see the entire live stream, that all he heard or saw was the one clip there of Zack Snyder's opening statement that was played across the internet. His ending statement of the live stream wasn't so much played. It was presented by Shep Rambles in the last video that we watched, but that second part of the live stream, the ending statement that he made, was not so much presented. But that opening statement, Eric July probably only saw that part and the interpretation that was brought forth by the Geeks and Gamers team of, oh, he was calling us hateful and whatnot. And that really pissed Eric July off. And I think he's justified in his pissedness, but at the same time, I think he got duped. Eric July just got all wound up in the original narrative, the dishonest narrative that Geeks and Gamers was selling. So again, I think it's understandable Eric July's anger because he was being essentially deceived by Geeks and Gamers. I just think that Geeks and Gamers and crew were the ones that were kind of duping him into this false narrative. I put the fault more on them than on Eric July. If Eric July knew the full context, would he actually go back or reword his statement about Zack Snyder? Yeah. And I will say right now, Zack Snyder should have reworded his opening statement a lot better. He could have said, I'm not necessarily calling anyone on here hateful, but I'm just saying that we're denouncing hate, that I'm denouncing hate right now, and I don't associate with Geeks and Gamers, but not calling anyone here necessarily hateful. Anyway, just to clarify on Eric July's part.
I know how to play the game, and I know when to be aggressive and when not. And right now is the moment to show what this brand is made of and the individuals in it. But I'm very, very frustrated. Now, here's what we're going to establish on this stream, okay? It's my stream, and I've been slandered with Geeks and Gamers enough tonight, and no matter who we're talking to after what I just listened to Zack Snyder do to me, and I do believe he slandered me.
So it really does raise some interesting questions.
So unless the original, the guy who like recorded on his phone, Jeremy's whole rant right there, actually knows the full context of Zack Snyder's statements, I don't see as to what is his angle is as to why that he goes recording that.
Questions, you know, how much did Zack Snyder know about these people? Did he vet them properly? It's an interesting wrinkle. Do I think Zack Snyder necessarily knew what this guy was like? Perhaps not. Perhaps Warner Brothers are making him like these guys think. Still very funny. Now, we've seen Jeremy try to cope with Zack Snyder blaming them for all this stuff. Jeremy actually took the time to make his own video about this stuff. You know, a day later, this was a direct response to what was happening.
Cope. That seems to be a consistent trend going as far as generally from the left accusing the right of doing. Like, I got a question, just in general to people out there. For you to say that you're upset that somebody who you thought was on your side, to find out they're not exactly on your side, or that they kind of betrayed you in some sort of manner, knowing beforehand that they were on your side, for you to get upset over that, is that really copium? I don't think so. Let me bring up a personal example. Rin Michaelis, y'all probably might know. Back in 2019, I had that drama with her. It started in late 2018, but unfolded in the early parts of 2019 fully, and even a little bit in the later parts. Honestly, I was just a little bit upset and hurt by some of the personality that was unraveling about her. Is somebody going... And I used to like consider her a friend, a little bit of an associate and an ally on this platform too, before the drama with Rin had ever happened. Is everybody going to describe me getting upset over losing an alliance and a sort of a friendship? They're gonna call that cope? Bullshit. That's not copium. I mean, I don't know. You know what? I don't care of what kind of a term that you want to give it. But a person like getting upset over some kind of, treachery of sorts of like that. I mean, it's not inherently bad or unwarranted, might I put it that way.
So let's have a look at this, and let's have a look what he has to say about Zack Snyder's comments.
We have a lot to talk about. It was a very interesting night, to say the least. No doubt about that. And I've obviously had time to process everything and try to understand everything and, really kind of get my thoughts in order. We did do a live stream last night while the charity stream was going on over on Uche Waneri's channel, where Zack Snyder hopped on the stream after we raised about $60,000 and basically went out of his way to disavow from Geeks and Gamers and also simultaneously speak out against some of the hate that's been going on. A normal virtue signal from a Hollywood person. And that caused a lot of problems. The entire charity stream kind of went on a standstill for the next 20 or 30 minutes. The donations really stopped rolling in. It was a very awkward moment, but I am very, very proud of my team and how they handled themselves. Uche, Ryan, and Lethal handled themselves like true professionals, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with how they handled themselves. Now, in terms of the comments made by Zack Snyder, it was a very poorly worded PR statement. This was some...
So that is a very poorly worded PR statement. We can agree on that, Jeremy. I listened to the full video by Jeremy too, by the way, y'all. He does not take into consideration, he does not mention the ending statement from Zack Snyder of, oh, you're all wonderful. Of, the likelihood the implied likelihood that he is not like calling out Geeks and Gamers specifically when it comes to quote unquote hate.
One who clearly was dealing with a lot. You can see it when he joined, and by what we know from behind the scenes, he definitely was definitely overwhelmed, and he made a very poorly constructed PR statement and then wanted to virtue signal. And this is what the problem is with virtue signaling and that moral superiority stuff.
I've seen this concerted effort from a lot of these far left people, the blue check mark brigade, and it just seems like the existence, the mere mention of the existence of the Snyder Cut really, really upsets them.
So I just watched that again during the recording of this, and I actually laughed out loud that he's saying Zack Snyder is, you know, a typical virtue signaler, because in the wake of really, really awful tragedies in America, he's saying he doesn't agree with hate. I have an Asian daughter. Geeks and Gamers kind of does spread this stuff.
There's the golden statement right there from Kavernacle. The full-on, the explicit statement that he thinks that Zack Snyder is trying to attach Geeks and Gamers to hate. When really, Kavernacle, either you're dishonest yourself or you're a dumbass. Like, you're not getting yourself educated about the full context of what Zack Snyder was actually trying to say throughout that entire live stream. You know, the later statement of where that he's saying that they're all wonderful. The implied likelihood that he does not think that Geeks and Gamers are necessarily hateful. Or you did see that part of the live stream and you're just omitting that. You're doing a bit of a lie by omission in order to, you know, prop up this narrative that, oh, Zack Snyder slams Geeks and Gamers, blah, blah, blah. You're just looking for views at this point.
And then he's also saying, which is kind of sick, that he's saying because Zack Snyder has been dealing with tragedy and been dealing with a lot of things making this movie, that he said this stuff. And he just wanted to virtue signal. And so, again, I don't get the world that these guys live in. Anything to them is virtue signaling. Saying you don't agree with hate is virtue signaling.
I don't think that's the thing that Jeremy was trying to say at all. Okay. I should probably respond to that text here in a little bit. But nonetheless, I don't think that's what Jeremy was trying to say. He's just trying to say that Hollywood likes to virtue signal a lot. I mean, the idea that a whole bunch of Hollywood celebs and general celebs, they'll like put up these symbols on their own profile pictures, you know, the black fist, or put a completely black picture on their profiles, or have the rainbow LGBT flag going up so as to signal their own support for the LGBT community or Black Lives Matter and so on and so forth. That is, by definition, a little bit of a virtue signal if you're going to be doing that sort of stuff. Or even tweeting about the stuff just at random in general. I mean, is that not a bit of a virtue signal? Just asking.
Not that he felt like he had to say this because of the content you guys put out. Because of the circles you guys swim in, you will have people...
How do you know that Zach actually known about Geeks and Gamers and their content?
Having extreme conservative politics that directly fuel some of the most awful things happening in America. And at the very least, you guys are...
How do you think them guys are responsible for the, you know, supposed anti-Asian shootings in definitely Atlanta, Boulder? I don't know of how much people were trying to connect that to anti-Asian hate, but nonetheless, how do you think that they are like contributing to anti-Asian hate?
All pretty proud Trump supporters, and all...
Oh, that is such a bad thing. What's the matter with being a Trump supporter, huh? And I'm not a particular Trump supporter myself, just to put that out there. But you're not saying anything when you say somebody's a Trump supporter. Like, it isn't automatically or inherently bad to be a Trump supporter. What's wrong with that, though?
All the things that Trump says, you're always defending it. If you go on his politics channel, you'll see basically always attacking libs or AOC and stuff, always defending Trump and insane conservatives. But to summarize, do I think Zack Snyder did that out of the goodness of his own heart? I honestly don't know. It's impossible to say. Would Warner Brothers like him to say that if they knew who he was dealing with on this stream? I'd say they would. So who knows? But at the end of the day, it's funny because it's drawn a lot of attention to these guys who do peddle this crap. And it's also funny because they idolized him so much, and then he's just like, yeah, I'm not affiliated with Geeks and Gamers, and I don't support hate and divisive language and everything like that. So again, pretty hilarious. But to them, like you saw with Jeremy at the end, they'll just play it off, you know, virtue signaler, forced to do it. We stand by what we did, didn't do anything wrong. Lots of people on our team, some support Trump, some don't. Although as the leader of Geeks and Gamers, I support Trump, and most of the higher-ups also support Trump and have extreme right-wing politics. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Yeah, I think you're full of shit when you're trying to say that Zack Snyder was calling them out for something. You know what? I thought that maybe Kavernacle said in that entire video. I guess I'm remembering it wrong. I thought he did at one point in that video said that if you don't like being called hateful, then that must mean that you are hateful. I must be remembering somebody in the comment section of Kavernacle's video confusing. Okay, yeah, here it is. For example, Favier Ini in the live chat, or excuse me, not live chat, but comment section of Kavernacle's video. Imagine hearing racism bad and feel attacked. Well, on the surface, it seemed like Zack Snyder was implying, or at least at first, anyways, it seemed like Zack Snyder was implying them to be racist and therefore also saying racism bad. Like, he doesn't even have to say racism bad. Just say, don't condone racism, and by the way, I don't associate with Geeks and Gamers. You say that, those two statements rather close together, it's almost like you're implying them to be racist. That's the implication right there. Who likes being accused of racism is my question. I'm trying to. It's weird how at the end of the whole release of Snyder Cut thing, I didn't expect I'd come out. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Geeks and Gamers mix a whole bunch of hate. Zach says he's for unity and kindness. Geeks and Gamers SJW supposedly. Nope. Talk about a misinterpretation of things. Preaches a bunch of hate. Yeah, what hate exactly? And it's not like and he's not just it's the fact that Zack Snyder, or that Geeks and Gamers thought anyways, I don't know, it's getting a little bit confused to explain everything. You guys get my thought on this. You guys know what my full thoughts are on this. I'm just gonna move on. It's getting ridiculous. Maybe I'll have to like change the title a bit. I thought that Kavernacle was gonna go on saying that if you don't like people calling out hate, then that, or if you don't like, God, I'm getting fumbled over my words. If you don't like being called hateful, that must mean that you're hateful. I thought that was it. I thought I remember that being an implication or something that Kavernacle said, but he did not explicitly say that actually, so this is a bit my fault. It was more of what the comment section of his video was more or less saying, more than anyone. So I would like to make a retraction on that front. But anyway, to sort of move on, it's about an hour and 28 minutes in this live stream. I probably should have chose a better subject to be opening up the live stream with as far as a video to respond to live, but here we are. It is what it is. What are you gonna do about it? To give me a time machine so I can go back in time and stop myself from doing this? Nope. Anyway, see it. But yeah, I'm sorry to Loudmouth and everybody else who thought that was a little bit of a slightly boring topic to be going on about. But nonetheless, moving on. The next subject is John Cena apologizes to genocidal communist China for calling Taiwan a country. So this was what Loudmouth was talking about a little bit earlier, so I thought I'd dive deep into it myself. This is from CNSnews.com. Former WWE wrestler turned actor John Cena apologized profusely to Communist China for referring to Taiwan as a country during an interview promoting the latest Fast and Furious movie. China has maintained that Taiwan is under the country's rule, while the sovereign island claims otherwise. John Cena apologized in Chinese on Cena Weibo, or Weibo? I don't know. I made a mistake. Now I have to say one thing which is very, very, very important. I love and respect China and Chinese people. What was the implication otherwise, asshole? Just because you say that Taiwan is a country, that's not an implication that you hate Chinese people. It's not even much of a strong implication that you hate the Chinese government, for that matter, just to be saying that Taiwan is its own country. Come on. I'm very sorry for my mistakes. Sorry. I'm really sorry. Oh, God, this makes me want to gag. The words that John Cena is putting this out as. You have to understand that I love and respect China and Chinese people. Oh, man, this is such a faggoty ass statement right here by a guy who supposedly, or at least on the surface, looks so masculine. Like, come on. Said Cena in his post to Chinese social media site Weibo in Mandarin. John Cena apologized in Chinese on Cena Weibo after calling Taiwan a country during an interview promoting Fast and Furious 9. According to the New York Times, Cena speaks Mandarin and posts on the Chinese social platform often. Taiwan is formally recognized by 15 countries, but enjoys diplomatic relations with others, including the U.S. Back in 2019, Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey apologized for a new deleted tweet in support of Hong Kong. Why are people buckling to China so much? I don't get this. Like, China may have a bit of a financial support, or excuse me, not financial support. They might have a little bit of a financial influence as far as being a bit of a money base for whatever service that you're providing. In this case, being like entertainment in Hollywood's case, but are you really going to sell out your own credibility of what the facts and the truth of the matter is, and for what is good, just for a few extra bucks from the Chinese market? I don't understand these people. Somebody explain it to me. Why is it that you would say, oh, I don't support Hong Kong, or I apologize for supporting Hong Kong, or I apologize for referring to Taiwan as its own sovereign nation to China? Why would you say that? As the region battled the controversial extradition law, when the Chinese government, its companies, and fans reacted poorly, players and other representatives of the team began to apologize on Morey's behalf. According to the BBC, Houston Rockets basketball player James Harden said, "We apologize, we love China," and NBA representatives described the tweet as regrettable. Okay, now I will say that proposing your support or espousing your support for Hong Kong is a little bit more of an implied snub at China than saying that Taiwan is its own country. But nonetheless, you should not be, this is not worth apologizing for. You should not be apologizing for it at all, really. Communist China is a genocidal regime that runs re-education prison camps in Jiang, northwest China, employs slave labor, forced abortions, detention, and torture. According to the Black Book of Communism, Harvard University Press, China has killed more than 65 million of its own people for political reasons. End of that article. So yeah, absolutely pansy and disgusting from John Cena to be apologizing over something like that. Alright, so I'm probably going to just read these two Forbes magazine articles and then leave the subject matter right here and just end the live stream right afterwards, because this live stream is getting a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be, just responding to those two videos, or featuring those two videos anyways. I mean, yeah, I have to get a better structure for these. But anyway, this is from Forbes.com. Who is to blame for rising gasoline prices? Now, the reason why I am presenting an article that was from March 5th is because I'm doing a bit of a revisit on the Keystone XL pipeline. Like, earlier within this show's history, I said that because of Keystone XL pipeline being shut down, that is why that, or part of the reason as to why that gas prices are rising. I still kind of hold a little bit to that belief that because of Keystone being shut down, that decreases the confidence of oil companies, and therefore they're going to raise their own prices to sort of compensate for that. But that is just a little bit of a theory that I don't have a whole lot of evidence for. And not to mention, I got in a little bit of an argument over the subject, or not so much of an argument, but a little bit of a spat with somebody over Facebook. And so that's what prompted me to want to revisit this. So I got researching into it, and I got finding that it is a slight bit of an off-base opinion, or I at least wanted to get myself more context and present to you guys, my audience, a little bit more context about the rising gas prices in regards of Keystone and whatnot. To clarify that it is not as much, or might likely not be as much because of Keystone as to why that gas prices are rising than we thought. Excuse me. This past week, the national average price for regular gasoline rose to $2.71 per gallon. That marks an increase of 46 cents a gallon since the beginning of the year. Now, just a little bit of a reminder, this was for March 5th, so the national average is going to be a little bit higher right now. I know that here in Wichita, that gas prices are like over $2.85 at least. $2.85 to $2.89, something in that range. On a daily basis, I see accusations on social media that this price rise is a consequence of Joe Biden winning the presidential election. I am going to explain why this is ludicrous, but I would pose the following to those who believe this to be the case. Since Biden's inauguration, daily COVID-19 cases have fallen by 2/3. Daily deaths are down by nearly half. Is Joe Biden responsible for this? If you say no, or you feel the need to hedge or qualify your answer, then you probably realize that cause and effect isn't quite as simple as that. The same holds true for gasoline prices. The main reason I can say that Biden isn't responsible for the rise in gasoline prices is that we understand pretty well why those prices are rising. Those reasons mostly have nothing to do with him. Factor 1, rising oil prices. Single biggest factor influencing changes in gasoline prices is almost always underlying changes in the price of oil. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Show me a time that gasoline prices spiked or plunged, and the vast majority of the time you will find that oil followed the same pattern. On the first trading day of January 2021, the price of West Texas Intermediate WTI closed at $47.47 per barrel. 2 months later, on the first trading day of March, the price closed at $60.54 per barrel. During the time gasoline prices rose by 46 cents a gallon, the rise of oil rose by 31 cents a gallon. But gasoline prices often lag oil prices. In the past 6 months, the price of oil has risen by 56 a gallon, while the price of gasoline is up 50 cents a gallon. In other words, the vast majority of the gasoline price rise can be accounted for by the rise in the price of oil. I will explain other factors influencing the price of gasoline below, but why are oil prices rising? Is Biden responsible for that? There are two factors that have driven up the price of oil. One is that demand collapsed last year as pandemic measures were implemented and people stopped traveling. The price of oil plummeted. That in turn ended up idling 3 million barrels per day of U.S. oil production relative to a year ago. JC Armitage in the live chat says, well, it's a combination of factors. The shutting down of Keystone, that one pipeline getting hacked, and the massive amount of quantitative easing the Fed has been doing over the past year. Precisely. And that huge snowstorm in Texas didn't help things either. Right. I guess so, JC. As the end of the pandemic nears, oil demand is bouncing back. Supply doesn't respond as quickly, and therefore that puts pressure on prices. If you think Biden is responsible for hastening the end of the pandemic, then you can place some blame for the rise in oil prices on him. But that's because the economy is beginning to recover, which is a good thing. Second, unlike a year ago, OPEC and Russia recently decided to cooperate by extending most of the current output cuts. Despite some recovery in demand, Saudi Arabia kept in place a 1 million BPD cut. barrels per day cut. My bad. That decision sent oil prices sharply higher and will likely ensure additional gains in gasoline prices. Factor number 2, loss of refining capacity. Beyond oil prices, what other factors can impact gasoline prices? One of the most significant is any event that limits refinery capacity. If the crude oil can't get refined, then gasoline supplies will start to run low. That, in turn, will cause gasoline prices to rise. This often happens when a hurricane is turning through the Gulf of Mexico, but it also happened last month when the winter storm swept through Texas. During the first 2 weeks of February, refinery utilization in the U.S. was at 83%. Then the winter storm negatively impacted about a dozen refineries in Texas. By the last week of February, refinery utilization had plunged to 56%. Once again, it's hard to pin that on Biden. There are only a couple of mechanisms by which a president could have a short-term impact on gasoline prices. If they signed legislation signing the gasoline tax, which currently accounts for about 21% of the cost of gasoline. Damn. Abolish the gas tax. I'm just gonna put that out as a bit of a policy statement. Then that would quickly impact gasoline prices. Or if a president announced a major release of oil from the strategic petroleum reserve, that could cause oil prices to temporarily dip and might impact gasoline prices short term. Or they could shut down a running pipeline. I mean, as far as I know, the Keystone XL pipeline, that's another thing that I want to put out there. Originally, I thought that the Keystone XL pipeline was at least slightly working or slightly operating. I knew that it was still under construction, some of it anyways. But I thought that there was some of it that was in operation, and that might have been a slight contribution as to why that gas prices were low before 2020, that is. But I guess it wasn't up and running at all. Very little, if at all, anyways. So it's kind of hard to say that the pipeline was affecting them to be lower. So shutting it down would be therefore unlikely to have raised gas prices as well. Is my changing opinion on the subject, anyways. Longer term, there are certainly things Biden can do to impact gasoline prices. Some of the moves he is making now may eventually impact prices. Cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline, for example, could eventually impact gasoline prices. So this guy is saying that Keystone XL pipeline, canceling anyways, is not impacting gas prices right now or in the short term mostly, but in the long term and in the future, it is going to impact gas prices. So, yeah, keep that in mind, folks. And this guy, this Robert Rapier guy of Forbes, he's being rather critical of all the people who are saying that the rising gas prices are because of Biden shutting down the Keystone XL pipeline. He's saying to conservatives and Trump supporters and just people who are anti-Biden in general that no, rising gas prices right now anyways are not because of Biden canceling Keystone XL pipeline. But right here, he is saying that it will eventually cause a rise in gasoline prices, or them to be higher than what was projected if Keystone was kept open and kept under construction, or kept in progress, let's put it that way. But those are long-term impacts. Other than the two mechanisms I mentioned above, or I suppose he could also escalate military action in the Middle East, a president just doesn't have a mechanism for sharply moving gasoline prices. Factor number 3, transition to summer gasoline. Where are prices headed from here? Undoubtedly higher. One final fact that impacts gasoline prices is whether the U.S. is in winter or summer gasoline season. Winter gasoline blends are cheaper to produce and demand is lower. By summer, gasoline blends cost more to produce and demand is higher. Hence, the price of gasoline typically rises between January and May. Last year was a notable exception caused by the pandemic, but higher gasoline prices headed into summer is a norm. So yeah, I guess they put in a special chemical with their gasoline in the summertime to make gas more efficient for, the high heat of summer. But anyway. Next article, the inherent risks in President Biden's energy plan. This also from Forbes, and this is from the same guy that we read last time, which was Robert Rapier. Let's see what he has to say against Biden now, like he was playing quasi-defense for Biden here. But here it seems that he has more to say against Biden than before. Anyway, you may count me among those who want to see society move beyond fossil fuels. We all know there are negative consequences associated with fossil fuel usage, such as the emission of carbon dioxide and various other pollutants. However, fossil fuel replacements come with their own risks and trade-offs, and it is important to understand and weigh these trade-offs as we transition from fossil fuels. Two key issues are scale and reliability. Most people drastically underestimate our ongoing dependence on fossil fuels. According to the latest BP statistical review, which is the quote-unquote Bible of energy statistics, in 2019, fossil fuels supplied 83.3% of our energy in the U.S. Nuclear power supplied another 8%. Renewables, including hydropower, just 8.7%. So, JC Armitage asks, wait, the author's name is Robert Ray Pierre? Yes, that is exactly it, JC Armitage. I know it's kind of a vulnerable name to being teased. Like, you just, like, are you a rapist, Mr. Ray Pierre? You know, those kind of jokes. But nonetheless, moving on. I think it might be French, honestly. Even though Red Feather says, believe me now or believe me later, anything Biden does benefits Biden and his cronies. I agree, Red Feather. Even though renewables are expanding rapidly, the percentage of energy we get from fossil fuels hasn't changed that much over the years. After declining a bit a decade ago due to high prices, oil consumption in the U.S. has once again been on the rise, excepting last year's pandemic-related collapse. Excuse me. The U.S. has seen a drastic decline in coal consumption over the past decade, but global coal consumption has risen, as it has been displaced in the power sector by natural gas primarily, as well as renewables. As a result, natural gas consumption has increased by nearly 40% over the past decade in the U.S. Meanwhile, most people still rely on the local service station for fuel for their cars, and they rely on their local utility to power their homes and businesses. There are occasional exceptions, but generally when we need energy, we can count on it. Fossil fuels, despite their negative environmental aspects, are reliable and available at large scale. I believe there will be a day when renewables combined with backup storage like batteries will reliably replace our massive fossil fuel consumption. We are moving in that direction, but moving too fast can lead to unintended consequences. The risk is that we develop unrealistic expectations for the load renewable energy is going to carry and how quickly and we underinvest in fossil fuel production infrastructure. The reality is that we are still going to be using a lot of oil in a decade. The question is whether we will produce that locally or go back to being dependent on foreign countries for that oil. Consider the Keystone XL pipeline. Alright, here's the main subject of this issue that I'm tackling on about. Consider the Keystone XL pipeline as an example. This was an expansion of an existing pipeline. It was designed to bring more Canadian crude oil into the U.S., but would have also transported oil from the Bakken in Montana and North Dakota. Bakken. B-A-K-K-E-N. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The way I'm pronouncing it just sounds wrong. How much longer does this article go? Not too much longer. One of President Biden's first actions in office was to revoke the permit for this pipeline. This is exactly the kind of action that makes it exceedingly difficult for energy companies to execute major projects that may take many years to complete. There's always a political risk that energy companies have to consider. Let me look at the live chat here very quickly. Red Feather says he gives zero shits about the people he claims to. Right? She also asks, rapier is a sword, right? I think it is, Red Feather. Yeah, it is. And JC Armitage confirms that herself, or their self anyways. We still do not know the mysterious gender of JC Armitage. Is JC a boy? Is JC a girl? We will never know. Environmental activists have argued that we don't need the pipeline. Let's take that argument first. If we ultimately don't need it, then a private company took a calculated risk, spent money building the pipeline, employed lots of Americans to build the pipeline, and then maybe it is underutilized. A private company created jobs to build something they believe will be needed. If we don't need it because our oil consumption declines, then they lost money on the investment. Now take the other side of the argument. Let's say they don't build it, and a decade from now renewables aren't displacing fossil fuels as quickly as had been imagined. Now we need the oil that the pipeline could have supplied. So instead of getting it from our friendly neighbor to the north, we have to get it from Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, or Russia. This isn't just theoretical. As I pointed out in a previous article, California is one of the most progressive states in the country when it comes to renewable energy. At the same time, the state is not known as being particularly friendly toward development of fossil fuel infrastructure. Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of funny. Speaking of which, a little bit earlier today, I was just hanging out with a coworker a little bit right after work, and she's from I think I'm not revealing too much when I say this, but she was from California, and she got showing pictures of how that California is very smog filled within their own atmosphere. So it's kind of ironic. They're supposedly like the most leftward when it comes to the subject of energy within that state, and yet ironically enough, they're not making the hard enough transfer to clean energy. They're still like very smog filled. Anyway, what has been the result? Despite California being the fastest growing market for electric vehicles in the US, its oil consumption pre-pandemic is nearly as high as it has ever been, and it has steadily grown in recent years. Further, California's dependence on foreign oil imports has tripled in the past 20 years. California now relies on OPEC for more than half of its oil needs. This is in stark contrast to most U.S. states, which have seen crude oil imports plunge from the past decade. So looking at this graph, crude oil supply sources to California refineries. All right. So, crude oil supply sources to California refineries. So, California, like in the beginning, was getting most of their supply from themselves, and they were getting a good chunk from Alaska as well. And very little of it was from foreign. But as the years go by, their demand for crude oil in general hasn't dropped by much, but their reliability on foreign has increased drastically. Their reliance on Alaska has decreased sharply, and their reliance on themselves has decreased as well, but not as sharp as reliance on Alaska. From 1983 to 2019. So it's quite an interesting graph right here. If we prematurely discourage investment in fossil fuels and then our dependence doesn't decline as rapidly as the Biden administration envisions, that is a recipe for shortages, higher prices, and greater dependence on foreign nations for our energy. I understand that the Keystone XL cancellation is more about messaging than anything else. It is a signal to the world that we are serious about combating climate change, but if our message is undermined by our actions, e.g. failing to replace fossil fuels with renewables quickly enough, what have we accomplished? Precisely. End of article. And this is by Robert Ray Pierre. So, yeah, Robert Ray Pierre, he still thinks that the Keystone pipeline, or at least he's arguing devil's advocate anyways, he's saying that he's giving off the message essentially that it is kind of needed, whilst at the same time saying that because of the recent rise in oil prices, I don't think it could be like entirely pinned on Biden like canceling Keystone XL. But gas prices in the future will be higher than what they were projected to be if the Keystone XL pipeline was kept open. So, okay, to be quite honest, folks, it's been 1 hour and 53 minutes, and I'm probably just going to save these last 3 articles for the next episode of Strike Force, which will be sometime in late June, sorry to say. Maybe these articles will be still relevant, by the time I get to them. But yeah, actually this Mises article is from March 4th. Dang, I'd be getting it to this article way late in June. Maybe I'll like pre-read it on my own time and present the information in it. Just a quick sum up in the next episode of Strike Force. But these two articles, I think they'll be still interesting reads by the time I get back. But for right now, I will say, sorry guys that I was a little bit a disappointing bore in this episode of Strike Force. I took way too long and was way too rambly on responding to Kavernacle. And I do not know if I even had to show as much of the video by Shep Rambles beforehand. Heck, I probably did not need to show as much as I did of the Kavernacle video. Probably could have just skipped to the halfway point and went from there. And I should have like re-listened to Kavernacle today. I re-listened to the Shep Rambles video today before going live here, but I did not re-listen to Kavernacle. Like, I was right to say that Kavernacle is putting out a false narrative that, oh, Zack Snyder was calling out Geeks and Gamers and calling them hateful. I was right to say that he was wrong on that, but I was wrong myself to say that Kavernacle was trying to give off the message that if you don't like being called hateful, then that probably means that you are hateful, and therefore I'm gonna have to change the title of this live stream, honestly. So that's a thing. But for everybody who is listening right now, I'm sorry to say, and I will say this in a status of the channel update video in about a week from now, probably on Labor Day. But yeah, for the next 3 Tuesdays at least, I will not be doing another Strike Force episode, as I'll be busy on a business trip. And perhaps the Tuesday after that business trip, I will not be back doing live streams yet myself, because honestly, a little bit of recommendation from people in my personal life, I probably should put a disclaimer at the beginning of these live streams, and my videos too for that matter, that I don't condone the harassment of anybody really. And I just need to like do a little bit of a polishing of my live streams a little bit more than what I have been trying to do. I've been trying to increase quality, but it still isn't good enough. And I especially need to like get back into edited response videos, as those are my bread and butter. Like, all of you in the live chat, for all of you who are hanging out there in the live chat right now, press 1 in the live chat if you missed the edited response videos. But I'm just gonna get caught up here in the live chat for a bit, and then I'm gonna go. Red Feather says, what's interesting to me is Trump made the U.S. independent in oil production, and no one has hacked the pipelines yet. Now suddenly a pipeline was hacked and we're kissing Russia's ass, right? JC Armitage says, wouldn't doubt that. I think the Democratic People's Republic of Socialist California might be the most polluted state in the U.S. Precisely. Red Feather says, if it's so easy to hack a pipeline, why didn't they do it when Trump was president? Good question. I do not know what Trump might have did exactly for whatever measures he put forth via executive action or otherwise to protect the pipelines from getting hacked or whatever. But there is in regards of the electrical grid, Trump put forth an executive action to protect the electrical grid, and then Biden, one of his first executive orders was to rescind that same executive order protecting our electrical grid from plausible hacking from actors like China and so forth. But as far as pipelines go, I do not know that information. Red Feather also says, now they're using the hacking as an excuse to go back to depending on foreign countries for oil. Yep. JC Armitage says, well, at least his name isn't Robert Reich. Indeed, JC, indeed. Like, this person, I don't get the implication, is as far left, as Robert Reich. He just seems to be a little bit friendly to green policies, is about it. And if that's about as far left as he gets, well, then he's all right in my book. It can get a whole lot more left-leaning than that. Let's be honest with ourselves. Red Feather says, hope everything works out well for you, Darkon. Well, thanks, Red Feather. And JC Armitage and Red Feather, in response to my question of, do you miss my edited response videos? They say yes. They press 1 in the live chat for that. So, yeah. Again, I will give out further details of what I'm going to be doing with this live channel in the near future, or excuse me, with this YouTube channel in the near future, in a video released on Labor Day, or hopefully I will get it released on Labor Day anyways. But for right now, as Red Feather says in the live chat, good night everyone, take care. And I am the Dark Conservatarian. Thank you for tuning in. See y'all later.